Welcome to the fifth and final episode of the Spike Lee Inside Man podcast. Now, last week was supposed to be the final show of 4 scheduled, but Spike and our Shadowcaster Human Newman got along so well, they decided to give you subscribers an extra look behind the scenes on the set in Lower Manhattan. And because of their special bond, Human is now even allowed on the set during the filming of a rather violent bank robbery hostage scene. And Spike Lee will, of course, leave you with plenty of new knowledge and thoughts to ponder as we now join our Shadowcaster in Lower Manhattan.
Spike Lee podcast number 5 on the set of Inside Man. This is Human Newman in Lower Manhattan in the Wall Street area where we're shooting interiors today at the Manhattan Trust Bank on Hanover Street in Exchange Place. This is a location you'll be able to visit and see in the movie because there are exterior shots. And right now I'm standing in the closed off area. They've got the streets blocked off and only the crew can come where I'm standing. There's a lot of equipment outside of the bank. Grace. And they're calling for Grace. Someone named Grace. And there's a lot of equipment outside of the bank here. This is a staging area. And there was an exterior night shot done where I'm standing now. Inside is the actual bank, 1940s look of the bank. It's classic and would cost a fortune to make this bank as a set, even though they've made parts of it. I've seen the vault set, and it looks just like a bank vault that would probably be in this bank. They replicated that with the giant circular door. It's pulled open. That's about 15 inches thick, and we're almost ready for lunch here. I'm waiting for Spike Lee, who's inside. I'm standing right next to Spike Lee's chair, his director's chair, which is not used much. Spike is a very active guy, never stands still on a movie set. I see craft services wheeling potato chips out to the crew. Lunch must be served here. There goes a cooler full of drinks. And they know I'm here. I'm just waiting for the green light to go inside. I'm standing in a location where it's just a canyon of buildings. There's no horizon. It's just one building next to another. Only thing you do is look straight up and see the sky. I get a first look at Spike Lee, who's just come out of the building. He's wearing some dynamite-looking shoes, some red Nikes with yellow, and a matching maroon shirt. Actually, it's not red, it's maroon like his shirt. A pair of gray shorts and white socks. He's got a gold watch on, and he's wearing his trademark glasses in a turtle shell style.
Okay, check it, team good.
Mr. Lee motions me inside. He's wearing a Highbury vintage shirt there. 1913-2006. Spike Lee calls over a security man and a man dressed as a some type of a soldier, and speaking to them right now.
But I didn't know how much.
You see that here.
Okay.
You see everything.
Okay, you got it.
If you need them, you don't look like you have, man. We'll get a whole bar.
Inside the bank, there are 100 people in here. All types of crew, extras. Lots of extras. It looks like bank employees following Mr. Lee back to a part of the bank that I've never been in. Here we have cameras and monitors. Rather, monitors everywhere. He's positioned me over here. I'll be quiet. Mr. Lee takes his position in the director's chair. Matty Libatique, the chief cinematographer, is taking his seat. I sit behind the script supervisor. Mr. Lee is 5 feet away from me to my right, in the front row. His security man gets in the chair directly behind him. An armed security man. Who I've seen everywhere Spike goes. The slate goes up and we're about to roll.
Settle in here.
First AD.
Background, action!
Carlos, keep moving.
And cut.
I'm following Spike.
And run.
We didn't find this bank right away, and we were kind of sweating for a minute. Once we found the bank and were able to work the deal with the owner, we worked it out. So for this bank, we're using all the streets around it. For the vault floor, we built that on a set, and we shot that at the Steiner Studios, the Brooklyn Navy Yard, which is a superb facility, Hollywood-style studio, right in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. In fact, in my old neighborhood, my neighborhood, not old, but my neighborhood, Fort Greene, Brooklyn, New York. So we're winding down. After tomorrow, it will be 2 weeks left. We've really shot out Denzel. He has 2 more days left. Today we're shooting a scene with Clive Owen and his crew. There's a big day today because he had the 52 hostages, and we're shooting a scene where they take the bank over. So our hostages we just broke for lunch, but they're tired because every time we do a take, they got to hit the ground.
Are extras, can they be difficult? Can they be a problem on a set? Or
we've been very fortunate to work with a good group of people over the years, but you can't underestimate your extras because if they do something wrong, they can mess up the whole shot. So I really have to give a lot of credit to my AD department. The assistant directors work very closely with the background, making sure that they do what is needed and also that's believable. We don't have extras in the background reading newspapers as they walk and crazy stuff like that. So we don't want it to be too noticed, but they have to be natural. They have to fit. We don't want to do anything that's going to detract from what's in the foreground.
is there anything unusual about the equipment you're using? There was some article on the internet about you using special map technology for some of your displays.
Well, we've done a lot of research with NYPD.
You like to shoot digital or film?
No, we're shooting a film. We're shooting Super 35 millimeter with the great cinematographer Matty Lapatique. Matt and I have shot a lot of commercials together. He also shot my previous film, She Hate Me. So we've really gotten a great rapport. and we'll be working together for many more films. I think it's very key, the relationship between a director, I said this before, but the relationship between a director and a director, photographer, camera person has to be. You have to get along. You have to mesh. I've had one bad experience, and it really detracted. If the director can't get along with the camera person or vice versa, the film is going to suffer. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The film's going to suffer. So it's like a marriage, and it has to be a fit as far as temperament and whatever. You have to, get along.
Spike, speaking from somebody that wouldn't, let me rephrase this. If you pick somebody and you've never worked with them, what do you do? How do you get acquainted with somebody?
What I do is if I'm getting ready to shoot something, I try to use them on. What I did with Maddie and some other people is that we work together first on commercials or music videos. We do that first. So those it's not they're on, they're seeing they can work with me too. So it goes both ways. So that's like a trial thing we do. Maddie and I shot a bunch of commercials together. So we had a nice vibe working together, and we've been working ever since.
One thing I noticed inside while I was watching you film the last scene, there was a point where you pointed at a large monitor and you just looked at Maddie. You didn't even say anything to him, and you both knew what it was that you were pointing at.
Well, we haven't developed telepathy yet, but we're both looking at the same monitor, and Maddie on this setup is wearing a headset, so he can speak to the editors and have them make the necessary adjustments we want within the frame. This whole scene we're shooting 4 cameras.
Is that normal or is that extensive?
No, it's not normal, but we want to try to cover as much action as possible. So that's why we're going with 4.
What happens next? I mean, you're getting close to wrapping up. I guess are you still concerned at this point, or is it kind of like in running your marathon, as you call it? You see the last 2 miles up ahead.
Well, we got the great runners have a strong kick finish. You just can't get lackadaisical or ease up because you can see the finish line. And the film is not done. There's still a lot of important stuff we have to shoot these last 11, 12 days. So
it's easy to get tired.
Well, I mean, this making a film is an endurance test. Feature films, we're talking about commercials, music videos, short films. I've done a short film now called Jesus Children of America, which is going to be part of a anthology that's going to be screened this year in the Venice Film Festival and the Toronto Film Festival. So I love what I'm doing, and when you're able to work with people who also love cinema, it's very rewarding. Everybody we work with look, people have to get paid to make a living, but they're doing what they love too. And you see it. It's not like, oh shit, I got to go to work today. People look forward to coming to call every morning or whenever the call is and help contributing to trying to make this the best film it could be.
Now, a filmmaker might ask, if you see poison or you see like a negative attitude a cancer that could spread, what do you do about that?
Well, we try to nip it in the bud by not hiring those people. Because cancers can spread very quickly on a film set. Same thing in sports. You get somebody that's, not a bad influence in the locker room, they got to go. If anybody is not in line with what we're doing, has some ulterior motives, they got to go. They can go do that someplace else.
Have you been in a position where you had to do that?
Oh, yeah. And a lot of times they don't want to be there, so it's mutual. If you want to be here,
We can help you.
We can help you. Go with God. No hard feelings. Go with God.
I'm looking at a website printout here from thereeler.com, I guess it is. It's a Spike Lee's huge package evokes panic downtown. And apparently had something to do with a fake bomb call or something.
Why don't you read it?
Oh, yeah. It says, you may have heard the Spike Lee.
What's it called?
It's a blog, IndieWire.com. The Reeler is the name of the site. New York cinema, from the art house to the red carpet. You may have heard that Spike Lee has been filming his latest New York City flick, The Inside Man, over the last few weeks in Brooklyn and Lower Manhattan, featuring a somewhat stunning cast. I think I've got it straight again. I had always presumed that people like seeing their neighborhoods in movies, if only for production's economy boost, and that mishandling public resources, especially 911, is one of the city's most verboten transgressions. How did I get this stuff reversed? I should so know this place better by now.
Well, what is true, we were shooting here late one night, and we were probably making a lot of noise, as film crews can do, and someone got fed up and just called a bomb scare.
I guess that puts an end to it.
And let's be honest, you don't want a film crew to shoot in your neighborhood. It's new for a moment, but it can get old pretty quick. But at the same time, the people here have been great. The vendors, the people who work in these office buildings around here, and they seem to be glad that we've been here to give them a little excitement on their lunch hour.
Yeah, Spike, people have been walking by you and smiling and waving. I've noticed that. Everybody walks by you here, smiles and waves, so you've made friends.
Well,
which is an easy thing for you to do.
I just realized that they're being inconvenienced, so it's not hurting me by signing autographs or saying hello. Just letting people know that we appreciate, them putting up with us, because people have to change their routines. And human beings don't like that. I want to go to lunch when I go to lunch. I don't want to go around the corner or make a detour or be quiet.
So as a film director, you want to make sure that you make friends with your neighbors quickly at a location?
It's very important. Because they can make life hard for you. Very hard.
A great relationship with the police, I imagine, is also important.
Well, it's gotten better over the years. After Do the Right Thing came out, they didn't like me then. But it's gotten better than then. And also, they've been very supportive on this film, NYPD. Very supportive. And they even come up looking good in this film, too.
I understand that there's even been some very higher-up people like the governor, for example, of New York came by, visited the set.
Governor Pataki, Governor of New York State, the Empire State, he came by the stage in Brooklyn for a photo op. One of the reasons why this film is being shot here is because of new legislation to entice filmmakers, Hollywood, to stay here in New York and don't go to Toronto. So now if you shoot a film in New York City, you're eligible for a 15% tax break. 15% from 5% from New York City, I think 10% from New York State. I might have got to switch around, but adds to the 15%. And, when you're shooting, that money adds up. 50% of a $50 million budget, that's not chump change.
Hollywood has the same.
So Pataki came by, took pictures with Denzel and I, and just thanked us for shooting this film here in New York City, not going to Toronto. And that's something I've never done. I mean, I would never shoot. I don't like to say never, but Toronto is not New York City.
Keep it here. Hollywood faces that same challenge with Vancouver, too.
Yes, but hopefully they'll pass the same legislation and make it financially attractive for these movies to stay in LA.
So is it cheaper to shoot in a small town? Because would a filmmaker save money by shooting a scene in, let's say, Knoxville, if they needed a city scene and it was nondescript?
What city is it supposed to be? I mean, Knoxville will be hard because you got to fly everything in. You got to put up. I don't know if you get a film crew in Knoxville. Maybe you can. I don't know. You got to fly in the equipment. You got to put people up. So it really depends if you need to shoot a film there in Knoxville from the beginning. You lose your concentration, and more errors are made. So I think the same thing holds in film. Well, we don't want actors to be sitting in their trailers 6 hours. Waiting. When you come to set, we want go through hair, go through makeup, and you're gonna be called to set very quickly to work.
You mentioned that some impatience can start to build. If you're making a movie, are children or younger actors any more difficult with that, or do you see any?
Yeah, but we have a great. I've had a great just luck working with child actors, but that expression, actors and dogs or animals, is not exaggeration. And I found to be that the key is when you cast kids, you have to cast their parents also. Because you get the kid might be great, but you get the wrong parent, it's not going to work.
Oh yeah, when does the movie come out?
We have a tentative March release, but that's not written in stone. So we're just we're editing the film as we go along. And working hard to bring it to completion.
Mr. Lee, where do you do that at? Where do you edit a film?
We edit in our offices in Brooklyn, in Fort Greene, 40 Acres and a Mule. 40 Acres and a Mule is a historical reference. 40 Acres is the name I chose for my company. During the Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln, to entice slaves to fight for the Union instead of Confederacy, promised each freed slave, when emancipation occurred, 40 acres and a mule as reparations, you might say, for 400 years of the enslavement of African people. Upon emancipation, very few Negroes, as we called then, got their 40 acres and a mule. So that's the title of my company.
And you edit there, and you say you're doing it right now as we're filming more.
Yeah, we've been editing since from the very beginning.
You have to keep your hands on that too?
Yeah, every night we watch dailies. My two editors sit on each side of me, Barry Brown and Sam Pollard, and I give them notes and what I like, and they cut the scenes according to my notes. They show me the stuff. I give more comments. Show it to me, give more comments. and keep going to get it right.
Are you working on any other projects right now in parallel to this one? I read somewhere there was another film that just got completed, or
Well, I just finished this short film again, Jesus Children of America. I'm trying to go into pre-production on my epic about Joe Louis and Max Schmeling. So those are things I'm working on also.
your father was a jazz musician.
Is a jazz musician.
Oh, is still alive. That's great. Is a jazz musician. And does any of that spilled off into you? What is your music taste?
I love jazz, and my father, Bill Lee, a great composer, did a lot of the scores for my films. He doesn't do them anymore. Terrence Blanchard's my composer. But I grew up in a jazz household, and that's the first music I heard growing up.
And in this next Joe Louis movie, that would be interesting to hear, the music of that era being played.
Yeah.
You have a lot. You have a lot of possibilities there.
Yeah.
Shooting a historical movie like that, is that more difficult? These movies that are set in a different time period.
It's much more difficult, and it's going to be even more of an epic than Malcolm X was. So we're looking forward to that. You good?
I think we're covered. I think that. I'm trying to think of anything else. You've answered all my questions.
This is Spike Lee, and thank you for listening to the podcast of my new Spike Lee joint, The Inside Man.
And so we come to the end of our series. Over the past 5 episodes, we've been witness to the process and talent needed to create a major motion picture, and a world's first, where you were on the set with the director months before the film's release. And not just on the set, but actually inside the mind of a brilliant filmmaker. The Spike Lee Inside Man podcast is produced by the Pod Show Podcast Network. All on-site recording and shadowcasting by Human Newman. Special thanks to Rob Koslow for the series theme music. Thanking you for subscribing to the Spike Lee Inside Man podcast in theaters 2006.